Welcome to the Book Club Life, where we talk a lot about life and a lot about books and sometimes have awesome author interviews. And today I am actually at the Mississippi River Readers Retreat the day before the event at the historic Linden Hill home. Am I correct on that?
I believe so. It's a retreat center where we're staying. But
yes.
Yeah.
And Michelle is one of the authors at the retreat. And so she agreed. She made time for me to come and do this interview. So I got to tell you about Michelle. I've read several of her books, but in 2020 I was going through a hard time where I was having to sleep on the couch in an upright position because my neck was just nerve damage and just problems. Every night I looked forward to sitting on that couch and listening to The Noble Guardian by Michelle Griep on Audible, and I just loved the story, but I call it my guilty pleasure because I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't write any reviews. I didn't even tell my friend, oh, you got to read this book. So today is my chance to redeem that, and I'm going to write a review right after this interview.
Okay.
And I just love Michelle's writing, and I love her, and so I wanted to bring her on the show and have a little book club with her.
Well, thanks for having me. I love being here. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the book and a little bit of your publishing journey and how you even got started writing, and then we'll get into the book club questions.
All right. So a little bit about my publishing journey is I've always loved to write. That kind of nerd that junior high I would go to poetry camp instead of YMCA camp. So
did you go to a poetry camp?
I totally did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I was one of those kind of nerds. So that I've always loved reading and writing as well, and then but life happens. 4 kids happened, and who has time to write with 4 kids?
My mom had 4 kids, so yes.
Did she have time to write?
No.
There you go. But my husband, God bless him, said, why don't you just take one night for yourself, one night a week, and do whatever you want. So every Thursday, the second he came home from work, I would beeline it out that door, and I would go to the library because I love to read. So I would just read. And then I got a little cocky, and I thought, I can write a book. How hard can it be? Turns out it's really hard.
Yes.
So that's kind of how it started. But I stuck with it. I loved it. I loved the process.
So how many years did it take you to be published?
Ooh, let's see. It took me about 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that first book.
No. Okay. So was it your second one that got
Immediately, no.
published?
Yes, it was actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still really awesome.
Yeah. The
I
first
know.
one was like. Yeah. But that first one took me like 3 years to write. So, because, one night a week. So.
And that was the teaching process, I'm sure, of you have to get through one book to know what works for you, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. So that's how I started, and I just stuck with it because I love the process. And what's the other question?
So The Noble Guardian.
The Noble Guardian. Oh, yes. So The Noble Guardian, it started with the Bow Street Runners.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's book 3 in a series, and I read it totally out of order.
It's okay. You can read it on.
Yes, and I loved it, and I had to go back and restart the first one because it had been several years since I had read the first.
So it's 3 different officers. So but I got the idea from, I was just researching out nerdy things like history, which I do, and I came across a newspaper article that was like from 1750s, 1760s, advertising for 5 brave and strong men who would want to go out and serve or basically arrest warrants to criminals.
Okay.
And I thought, who in the world would answer that kind of an ad? And then I'm like, oh, a really brave man, a really noble man would. And so that's where that idea was born. But the Noble Guardian itself came from, I kind of do mashups, and it came from Leap Year, the movie.
Okay.
Which is across country in Ireland. But England's my first love. Right. So that and Cinderella, because every little girl loves Cinderella.
Yes, I did not get the Leap Year part when I was reading it.
Yeah.
But I did get the Cinderella part, and so with that we'll move into our questions.
Okay, let's do it.
So it is a little bit of a Cinderella story at the beginning because the main character is living with a family that hates her pretty much, and she has to endure that for quite some time. And so I was going to ask you, your book club question is, have you ever had to endure a season or time with people that you knew did not like you, or maybe they were even against you? And how did that change you, and how did you overcome that?
Okay. Yeah, actually, a lot of my stories are from my own life, and that's where I work out my issues with God or theology or what have you. And when I got saved, when I was 18, actually my family didn't like me very much because
really?
they're not. So,
wow.
so I was kind of the outlier in that respect. That the crazy Jesus freak.
Okay.
What's up with her? And
Right.
so I kind of got the stink eye several times from
Okay.
them. So how did I overcome that? Well, it forced me to either run to God or run away from God.
Right.
And so by God's grace, I ran to God.
Mm.
So that would be, it strengthened my faith. That's how
Yeah.
it changed me. It just made me dig in my heels
Yeah.
all the more.
I can see how that would make you choose. In fact, I know of stories where people did run to God, and I do also know stories where people said, okay, well, never mind.
Right.
I will choose my family and just keep the peace.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
that takes a lot of courage.
That would have been easier, but yeah, it was hard.
But it's worth it.
It was hard. It's worth it. It's totally
Yes.
worth it. Yeah.
But that is hard, and I imagine that was a very refining time, a life-changing time.
Yeah, it was hard, but it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So the main character, so the book is called The Noble Guardian, and the main character is truly a noble guy. I really liked him. And I was wondering if you could tell us what you think makes a person noble, a guy or a girl, and who's a noble person that you know in your life.
Okay. So, yeah, I think a noble person is someone who always does what's right, even when they don't feel like it, because who feels like doing right all the time? Not
Right?
me.
Not me.
So someone who always does what's right, no matter what they feel like. Someone who is faithful, trustworthy. You can tell them anything, and they're not going to go blather it around town.
Right.
So I think, and someone obviously who has a deep faith in God,
Yeah.
who's rooted and grounded in biblical truth.
Right.
Because that's solid ground.
Yeah.
So that would be my ideal of a noble person. I tried to give those traits to Samuel Thatcher, but of course he's a little rough around the edges as well,
Right.
as we all are.
Yes.
You know?
Sometimes
So-
you have a noble heart.
Yeah.
And you don't always act nobly.
Right. Or
But the desire,
Yeah.
and then when you realize that the making it right and the continuing to just go after doing the right thing, even when you don't feel like it. And I loved all your answer, actually. And I think that's a rare thing, which gives us the word noble.
right.
It's not common, it's noble.
It's not.
So I
Yeah.
I really love noble characters,
Yeah.
actually. I've realized that about myself as a reader, that as much as I can have compassion and love of a really flawed character, and everybody's flawed. I mean, he has his flaws too.
Right.
But I just love that calling higher, that where you can inspire each other, and even though he's fictional, but
Right.
you can get inspiration through fiction.
Right. And I do have like a noble, you asked me a noble
Oh, yes,
person
in real life. Yes,
in
you're
real
noble.
life. And that would be my friend Prema Boucher. She is from India,
Okay.
has lived over here for, 30, 40 years, but now she's back in India. And we pray every Friday morning. Like, no matter where she's
Wow.
at in the world, and she could be literally anywhere. I call her, she calls me, and we just pray for our family every Friday. And she's just so faithful, and God saturated
love
that.
that.
She's a noble hero.
Yeah, that is a treasure. I have a friend like that in my life. I have several friends that I can ask for prayer, and I do. And then I have one or two that we do pray every week. And I highly encourage it to find somebody, and just, it starts with just saying, hey, do you want to pray for each other?
It does.
And
It started when our kids were little, and we're like pulling our hair out. It's like, we need to pray.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. So another thing I loved about this story, it was perfect for me at that time. It wasn't like so many characters that I couldn't keep up with it, and like so many little intricate things that I just wasn't able to read the story at that time in my life. It was perfect for me, and there was so much movement in it. They were constantly on the move. So he is, correct me if I can't say this, or we'll edit it out,
Okay.
but he's helping her get to where she's supposed to be. She's finally got an offer of marriage, a way out from her family.
Yep.
So he reluctantly, but agrees to take her there. And
Right.
so it's the whole journey to get there. And I loved all the movement and just the constant action, but also constant change. And so I was going to ask you, how do you deal with change? Do you thrive with change, or is it hard for you? And do you want to tell us about a time in your life when there was a lot of change and how you dealt with it?
That's like a perfect timed question. Here's why.
Okay.
Because currently there's a lot of change in my life. I'm kind of homeless right now, which is
wow.
an odd thing. I've never had like not a house. But what we did is we sold our house in Minnesota.
Okay.
We sold that in June, and then with the idea of we're going to move somewhere else. And so we researched out different states, and we did just buy a house. We put a bid in last Sunday. So, but we don't close until the end of August. So we're going to move to Missouri. So we're packing up all our stuff, going to move to Missouri. Whole new life change from city folk to country folk. Awesome. We're going to try and be homesteaders.
All right.
Got it. So I'm going to learn about chickens and things like that. And yeah, I don't really like change that much. I like things to be status quo, but then again, when things are status quo, I get a little antsy, and then I want something to change. So it's a mixed bag, kind of. So to deal with it, I try to keep some routines that are the same.
Okay.
So, like still have my Bible reading in the morning, or, bring some of my favorite scents with. Bring some of my favorite scents with that I'm used to smelling. Or
okay. Do you have what's your favorite scent?
Ooh, I like patchouli. I'm kind
patchouli,
of
really?
I'm a hippie at heart.
Wow.
So I got patchouli rose on today.
Okay.
But yeah.
I don't smell it, thankfully, because I don't like patchouli.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, good thing I chose the patchouli rose today. Yeah.
Well,
so, yeah, that's my big upheaval story right now. So things should settle down this fall. Maybe. Maybe not.
Maybe not. We had a lot of change in, let's see, we're in 2021, so it was 2020. We moved in November, and it's now several months later, and I still say we just moved and we're moving in.
Yeah, that might happen to us.
Because life keeps going, you know? You don't get to pause life to put everything up.
No, you do not.
But that's okay. That's the adventure of life. Well, if you are enjoying this interview, we would love it if you would give us a thumbs up. And you can share your tip for how you handle change. We would love to read it. I read every comment. And I'm going to ask you a couple of just for fun questions.
Let's do it.
So your book was a guilty pleasure for me. And I say that, I don't believe in guilty pleasures, actually. If I feel guilty, I just don't do it. But I felt a little guilty because normally when I love a book that much, I tell somebody. But so what is a pleasure, something that has brought you joy in your life that you could share with us that maybe somebody else... It doesn't have to be guilty, but...
Oh, I do have a guilty pleasure.
Okay.
It would be, I like podcasts. And so in my spare time, or if I'm riding across country looking for a house, I like to listen to podcasts. So that would probably be it. And the murder mystery ones.
Okay.
Or,
now, can you give us the name of one? Because a friend was actually just asking me for a murder mystery podcast, and I didn't have a certain one to give her.
Ooh, let's see. Boy, now I'm totally drawing a blank. But... so this one's maybe not a murder case, but it's called This Podcast Will Kill You.
Oh, okay.
And it's these two, I don't know if they're doctors or what, but they're medical biology people. And they will take a disease and tell you the history of it. They will tell you how it works in your body. And they will tell you what's going to happen in the future with this particular disease. So I have found out different ways of things that could kill you.
Okay.
That
helpful
I could put into a story at some point in
author
time.
with a lot of mystery and lawbreakers.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Favorite movie or show?
Ooh. Favorite movie I'm always going to say The Count of Monte Cristo.
Okay, I love that one.
With Jim Caviezel.
Yes. That is so good.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. I haven't read the book, but I loved the movie.
Okay, I never say this.
Okay.
But I will say it for this one. The movie's better than the book.
Okay. So even if you do an abridged version? Or have you not tried
I didn't do the abridged.
Okay.
I mean, I did the whole
I heard somebody who loved it said that they read the abridged version. Okay. And so maybe that makes it more...
I don't know. I slogged through the big fat one, and it's like the movie was
the
really well
movie
done.
Was so inspiring,
really well
and everything I love in a good movie.
Yeah.
Okay. An author I love is blank because blank.
Oh, that's so hard. I love a lot of authors. So let's see. Oof. I'm going to go with a more recent one who has I think she's got 3-4 books out maybe now. It has a new one coming out, I believe. And that would be Joanna Davidson Politano. Have you read her?
I have not, but I've seen her around, and she seems to be doing very well for herself.
Yes.
So, and for her readers.
Yes. So she writes, it's Victorian, but it's got a little bit of quirk to it. I love her characters, and her plots they keep you guessing. So I would say she's one of my newer favorite authors.
Very
but
good.
I've got so many.
I know, that's, yes.
Yeah.
My favorite 10 has actually a little bit more than 10 in that little 10 spot.
It's like picking a favorite kid. How do you do that?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
You're a wordy person. I love your words. In fact, I recently started The Thief of Blackfriars Lane, and there were some words that made me crack up. I actually used them around my house a little bit.
Awesome.
Like, let's see if I can remember. I don't give a fig knackety.
Yeah.
If this laundry gets done, I'm going to do something else.
That's right. Just do it.
So do you have a favorite verse or joke or poem or word or just some bit of words that you love for funny reasons or for special reasons?
There's two quotes that come to mind. They're not necessarily hilarious, but one that I really latch on to was by, I believe it's attributed to Picasso, but it could be attributed even earlier to somebody else. But that is that good artists copy, but great artists steal. So I like to steal ideas from here, there, and everywhere and kind of mash them up together.
Yes.
So that's a good one. And then another one, again, I don't know. It's like a really old one, so I'm not sure who it's from. But it's bidden or unbidden, God is always present. And whether you ask God to be there or not, He's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that one. Those are probably my two favorite quotes.
True. Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Oh.
So what are you working?
Steal it.
I'll use it.
Okay.
What are you working on now?
Okay. So.
And where can people find you?
I am all over.
Okay.
I'm everywhere.
MichelleGriep.com.
MichelleGriep.com.
And we'll put her in the show
notes.
notes.
I'm there. I'm Facebook. I'm Instagram. I'm Pinterest. I'm all over the place. Yeah. So currently, I'm finishing up galleys for my next book that comes out in November, and that's a new series that I'm starting of Monsters and Men, and it is called Lost in Darkness, and so it's Regency era, so early 1800s. The tale of I'm totally making it up. The inspiration for Mary Shelley's Frankenstein monster. Where did she get that inspiration to come up with this monster? So that's going to be a new series. Right. But then the actual book I'm working on is the sequel to Thief of Blackfriars Lane. Okay. So there's more Kit and Jackson in store. It's the Bride of Blackfriars Lane. So more shenanigans on the way.
All right, more shenanigans. That's awesome. Well, if you enjoyed this interview with Michelle, please check out her book. And if you'd like to see some more author interviews, you can go to the videos tab on YouTube and just scroll down and choose a favorite author's interview. Or you can go to jennysnow.net and look up the Book Club Life, and they're all there for you. Just click on the picture. And thank you so much for being with us and watching.
Thank you.
And thank you, Michelle, for coming. I loved having you.
No, it's fun. Thanks.
Happy reading. Bye.